In this week's episode, the Springbok Sevens Blitzbokke reflect on their Tokyo Olympics Living My Dream Journey, which was funded by the National Lotteries Commission and implemented by the Sports Trust. The Olympics proved to be very challenging both mentally and physically. However, they persevered and they just recently won both legs of the World Rugby Dubai 7 Series.
Ek is oorspronklik van Jeffreys Bay. Om te dink ek is van 'n baie groot dorpie, so om van so 'n klein dorpie af te kom en so groot hoogte te kan bereik is iets besonders. En
I was born in Mthatha and I grew up in a small town called Maclear. Went to school in Dale College in the Eastern Cape as well, King Williamstown. And I found myself in Port Elizabeth after school for a little bit, playing 15s with the Kings, and then I came to the Springbok Sevens in 2016. The role that I have acquired to be captain, and actually to be selected to be captain, no, it hasn't been a hard job at all. I think getting a new generation of players coming in and being a senior in the squad, you have a responsibility to just pass on the culture and ensure that we live up to it as players, especially the juniors, so to speak, coming in. And it hasn't been that much easy, but I mean, the guys are professionals. Otherwise, as I said, the leadership around myself and the leadership group, the coaches, the management, great bunch of people that I learned so much for, and they helped me in my role.
Well, it's been 8 years now. I still got a year left of my contract, so if I finish that, then it will be 9 years for Springbok Sevens. Yeah, listen, I think it's probably the most difficult day of a coach's coaching career. It's the day that you sit with those players one-on-one and then basically shattering their dreams by telling them that they're not in the team and the reason for it. And I think the tempting thing to do as a coach is to put a little lie in there to soften the blow, but do that and then your credibility is out the door. And I think it's a very stressful and really emotional day. I think after that day with the one-on-ones, we sit basically with every single player and giving them either the bad or the good news. With the guys that made it, you're happy with them, but with the guys that don't make it, you cry with them in that room as well.
Nee, dit werk 'n bietjie anders by ons. Ek weet by die 15s of soos ek nou al gehoor het, kry 'n oproep van die coach af om jou te laat weet nee, hy is in die groep en soos hy. Maar by die 7s is dit het 'n one-on-one met die coach. So jy gaan sit saam met die coach, julle twee alleen. Hy sal vir jou vertel waar jy moet werk, wat jy goed doen, en dan sal hy vir jou sê nee, maar jy's in die span of jy's nie in die span nie. Maar op daardie oomblik was ons op 'n oefenkamp in Robertson. Want die weer was nie so lekker in Stellenbosch gewees nie, so ja, het was bietjie nat en ons het gaan kamp in Robertson en dis waar ons one-on-ones gehad het die laaste dag van ons oefenkamp. Voor ons na ons huise gegaan het of waar ook al ons bly, en ja, dis waar ek gehoor het dat ek die groep gemaak het, en dit was net iets amazing om te hoor.
I was going to be back in reasonably short amount of time before kickoff, so then the choice would be a selection, not an issue, but it would go down to selection. So otherwise, medically wise, I would have been ready to go. So I must say I didn't stress at all, but it was a tough time knowing that you could not make it and be ready in time. Luckily, living in COVID times, it is the times of the unknown.
Yeah, sure.
Nothing is certain, and I think my mindset was, I was in that mindset already, a mindset of adaptability, a mindset of not being too expectant of things, but having goals at the same time, if that makes sense. And for us as a group, that's how we've been actually going about things, to be hopeful, to not lose hope and lose your vision and your goals that you want to achieve, but yet understand that nothing is guaranteed and nothing is certain. And from that, you're just going to have to adapt. And that was my mindset.
I think in terms of the personal journey for me, a lot of questions and a lot of negative emotions connected with this whole Olympic experience. And I think 2 years before the Olympics actually took place, myself and Ashley went to Japan to see what it's like, what the facilities are like. The facilities down in Kagoshima, where we had our training camp, and we actually looked forward to this Olympics and to this amazing country of Japan with all its amazing people. And I must be honest in saying that everything turned out exactly the opposite. If you look back on the Olympics, the only thing that is left in my mouth is a bitter taste. Not just because of the results, but with everything that happened in that 2 weeks that we actually had to endure when we were in Japan.
Daar was nou iets wat ons niet kon beheer. Ons het in Japan gekom en iemand op ons vliegtuig het positief getoets. Een paar van de spelers was close contacts en dit was, ons zou in elk geval moest 3 dae isolate, maar dat het nou net die proces langer gemaakt. En dan toen ons uiteindelijk klaar geisolated het ons gevlieg, het ons coach positief getoets.
We were not ready to lose coach. I mean, going into the tournament, we actually prepared so well that we didn't even have to train in Tokyo to be able to play. When we were in that situation, we actually spoke amongst ourselves and we said to each other that, boys, we are ready. We just need to get on the field. Whether we get on the field and train one day before the tournament or get the next week, we are ready. So I must say, coach plays a massive role within the group, and he is the leader of the team.
For me, in that time that I had COVID and was isolated, was my attitude when the players see me and when we have those meetings to still try and be positive. Although you have symptoms, you have a massive headache, your back is sore, you don't have taste, to still stay positive and still have a positive attitude for them to see that you haven't given up on them yet, and that there's still hope that we hopefully will do well in the Olympics, but unfortunately it wasn't meant to be. I think in terms of mentally and physically what the team had to go through in those 2 weeks, we only listened to the voices inside the system and not listen to the voices outside, because we know what happened, and as long as we're happy with the effort that we gave and with the implementation of our roles and responsibilities, then we're happy. But also know that we are really hard on ourselves. We know what the standards are, and if we don't get close to those standards, or if we don't hit the markers of the standards, then we'll also tell that to each other.
The 2021 Series champions, South Africa, take on Argentina. There will be a revenge match for them. The Blitzbokke, who lost 1914 to the Los Pumas at the Tokyo Olympic Games. Pretorius cuts back in. JC Pretorius puts his head down. He's been chased all the way. You can't tell him what to do. He's the blockchain of rugby, JC Pretorius. And that's full time. South Africa, the first side to go into the Cup finals. And they have their longest win streak in history, 17. Same score as well. South Africa 17-7 over Argentina in Cup semi-final number 1.
You could have really seen that there was a lot of emotional scars amongst the players that were at the Olympics. So I think we needed to debrief and make sure that everybody can say what is on their heart and say what gave them those emotional scars. So we actually had 3 very good sessions in terms of speaking up and talking about the Olympics and unpacking and saying exactly how they feel and why they feel like that.
I think we've digested it. I think we've worked through that whole campaign of the Olympic Games. It's literally a chapter that's closed for us, and I believe that's why we could go out into the season and play the way we played. So Agreed. We had to face it. We had to go through it, and I believe that we did. We faced the ghost head on.
And he gives it to the rookie, Tiaan Pretorius. South Africa are Dubai Sevens champions 2021. Their third gold medal in a row.
My message to the Sports Trust, I think it showed from day one that the Sports Trust was committed to this team, and not just only us, but to Team South Africa as a whole. Even preparing for our camp in Johannesburg, there's so many things that were within our campaign and build up to the Olympic Games that the Sports Trust contributed to, and just showed their willingness to be part of this. So just a message of gratitude, a message of just saying thank you to them.
En aan die lotto om deur so 'n groot organisasie geborg te kan word, is actually iets groot, want dis die enige span wat dit reg kry om deur so 'n groot organisasie geborg te kan word. So ek wil ook net vir hulle baie dankie sê vir al hulle opofferinge en alles wat hulle vir ons gedoen het tot sover.
Yeah, I think just from our side to the National Lottery Fund and to the Sports Trust, thank you for your support and backing. I think obviously we went through a difficult time, and we obviously couldn't do it without your support and your backing. We would have loved to reward you for that. Unfortunately, it felt like it was stuff that's out of our control. The fact that we were close contacts and that I got the COVID virus. And again, I think that's the heart of the system, and that's our culture, that if somebody does something for us, then we want to give back, and we feel like we're still in debt with you guys because we couldn't do that with a medal at the Olympics, but hopefully this relationship can continue.
The Sports Trust wishes to thank the National Lotteries Commission, who provided key funding for these Olympic and Paralympic medal hopeful athletes, as identified and selected by SASCOC, which allowed them to live their dream and compete at this year's Tokyo Games.